Hi, the doctor's in. I'm Dr. LB, and I'm here to help you through your math difficulties. Today, we look at the standard form of a quadratic equation. So, the standard form of a quadratic equation is defined to be f of x equals a times x minus h squared plus k, where here we pick out h and we pick out k, and that represents the vertex. Now, that can either be the minimum value on that graph or the maximum value on that graph. X equals h is a vertical line that cuts the parabola in half. It is called the axis of symmetry. It is a straight line, a vertical line that goes through the vertex. So if a is greater than 0, the parabola points upward, and our vertex here will be the minimum value of that graph. If a is less than 0, it points downward. The vertex here will be the maximum point on that graph. So how do we graph a quadratic in standard form? Well, number one, we need to figure out if the parabola points up or down. If a is positive, it points up. If a is negative, it points down. Then we need to find the vertex, h comma k. Find the x-intercepts by setting the equation equal to 0 and solving. We can find the y-intercepts by evaluating the function at 0. And then we can plot intercepts, the vertex, and any other points as needed. So let's look at what we have here. We have f of x equals x plus 1 squared minus 4. And let's graph this. Number one, does this point upward or downward? Well, here a is 1. There's no number there, so it's going to point upward. Number two, the vertex is the point h comma k. Remember that the standard form is a times x minus h squared plus k. So notice there is a minus here, and so we'll take h to be whatever h is. Here, there is not a minus there, but if we rewrite this, then it's x minus a negative 1, so our h is negative 1, and our k here will be negative 4. We can find our x-intercept by setting x plus 1 squared minus 4 equals 0. So x plus 1 squared equals 4. If I take the square root of both sides, I have x plus 1 is plus or minus the square root of 4, which is 2. So x is negative 1 plus or minus the square root of 2, which means we have values of negative 1 minus 2, which is negative 3, and negative 1 plus 2, which is positive 1. The y-intercept we get by evaluating f of 0. So we put 0 into our function. We have 0 plus 1, which is 1, and 1 squared is 1. So 1 minus 4 is negative 3. So let's put this on a graph. We have negative 1, negative 4. So our vertex, we have x-intercepts of negative 3, positive 1. We have a y-intercept of negative 3. And this parabola points upward. So this is the graph of that parabola. Let's look at another one. Now we have f of x equals negative x minus 2 squared plus 1. Here, a is negative 1. So we are pointing down. Our vertex, this is of the form x minus h. So our h is 2 plus k. Our k is 1. The x-intercepts, we set this equal to 0, we have negative x minus 2 squared plus 1 equals 0. If I take the x minus 2 squared to the other side, it becomes positive. I can take the square root. The square root of 1 is plus or minus 1. And that's x minus 2. So x is going to be 2 plus or minus 1. So our x-intercepts will be 3 and 1. To find the y-intercept, we evaluate f at 0. So if I put 0 into my function, 0 minus 2 is negative 2 squared plus 1. So negative 2 squared is 4, and I attach the negative, that's negative 4, and negative 4 plus 1 is negative 3. So let's plot what we have. 2, 1, and then we have 3 as an x-intercept, 1 as an x-intercept, and we have negative 3 as a y-intercept. So this graph looks something like that. So remember that Dr. LB is always in. Please come back for more math help.